All right, everybody, here we go. Time for the good stuff. Let's flip over to page 28, and we are going to walk through and program our very first program here, everybody together. This is 2.1 on page 28. We'll start at the top, we'll work our way down, and kind of explain some of the pieces as we're going along. First and foremost, why don't we go ahead and open up a browser window quickly. Rather than use Visual Studio here, I just want to use cpp.sh. This is 100% running in your browser. This is going to be very, very low overhead. It's just a few megs worth of memory that it's going to take from your system. We don't have to go through the long and laborious process of putting together a project, and we're not going to waste any space on your computers to do so. So go to Chrome or Firefox. Please don't go to Internet Explorer and go to cpp.sh. What you'll notice is a rather plain looking page. The top portion there is going to be your coding window. That is where you are going to essentially type along with me as we're going along through here. On the bottom, after we click the big blue Run button, you're actually going to see your program's output. Later on down the line, as you are doing some of the homework portions, if you want to use cpp.sh to do the homework, at least until chapter 5, you're going to be able to. That's perfectly okay. Once we hit Run, there will actually be an additional button that comes up that says Get URL, and you can actually hand in your homework by just copying and pasting that URL. So without further ado, here we go, our very first program in C++. So starting at the top, you're going to notice a couple of things. We have the hashtag include, and then in between the less than and the greater than, we have some keywords. IOStream, that's the very first one. This is going to take care of inputs from the keyboard, inputs from the mouse potentially, inputs from any other included input device that we're going to have, and it's also going to take care of any of the outputs. So this is going to be things like your monitor, potentially it would be things like speakers, etc. If you do not remember to have that very first piece there, the hash include IOStream, your keyboard, your output are not going to work, so that's not going to go. The very next thing we see there, here in cpp.sh, it is included, and is my suggestion to you, you just get used to including it every time, is the hash include string. This is going to enable you to get from the user a string of characters and do some manipulations with that string. If you go ahead and put your cursor at the end of that, line 3, and hit enter, the next thing we need is using namespace space std. So it's using namespace space the character std. Right there in the middle of page 28, you can follow along with the text for why it is that we have to use namespace. The long and short of it is because we told you to. So as we continue on, let's go ahead and just get rid of everything from lines 8 to 11. Those 4 lines are the default, the sample that cpp.sh is going to give you, and we're not going to need that. So just highlight those and delete it. And what we need inside of our main, so that is the main executable for our program. What you'll also notice is, if you've already deleted that, on lines 7 and 9, what we have are the opening and closing brackets. Everything that goes in between those two symbols, so those are reserved, the opening and the closing bracket for that. Everything that goes in between those, that is going to actually be our program. So absolutely positively you do need the opening and closing, just in case. As you go to run, as you go to compile your code, you'll notice it says error in int main cannot continue. It's because you accidentally deleted one of those 2 brackets, or you've accidentally added another bracket opening or closing that's preventing everything from going just right. So now we can actually start typing things, and what we want is cout, C-O-U-T. We do want that space there. This will actually function without you putting the space in there, like you see on line number 7 there in your text at the very top, program 2.1 of page 28. But I'll tell you from a programming perspective, from a troubleshooting later on perspective, having those spaces there really allows your eyes to continue in a regularized fashion as you're moving from left to right, from top to bottom over the page, and it makes your life a lot easier. That cout is a keyword. This is going to be printed out to the terminal so that the user can interact with that. After that, what we have are the two less than symbols. This is reserved for the system to know, hey, everything that follows this is going to go out to the terminal. What we need are quotation marks, and what they have, the text does in the middle of those quotation marks, is programming is great fun. That's true some of the time, unless things go terrifically wrong. And what you'll notice there is at the end of that line, we do have a semicolon. We absolutely positively do need the semicolon there at the end of the line. That is the punctuation. That lets the environment know that, yes, I am in fact done with this particular line. The next line you'll see here is return 0. We do need that. That is essentially letting the program know, that is letting C++, the compile time and the runtime environment know that there's nothing else that is going to happen after this. That's essentially saying that int main, my program executable for this, is finished, it's complete, it's not going to run anything else. So here comes the good part. If you notice underneath that main programming window, if you go ahead and click the Run button almost instantaneously, in the execution window immediately there underneath, you will know that programming is great fun, spits out to it essentially is the output window down there. And if in fact that did occur, you know that your program executed properly. So there you go. The very first program that we have here in C++, you'll notice a couple of things here that are happening. I have no interaction with this program. There are no inputs. There's no interactivity here for me. So that's why we don't see any variables. We're not doing any assignment. We're not doing any math. We're not doing anything. We're simply blurting out to the terminal. Programming is great fun. This two-line program is much, much smaller than we're going to see for the rest of the examples that we'll do. But it is functional. It is complete nonetheless, just like it is here. So that is program 2.1.